Hey, Coach Lee here. Want to talk about all things blood pressure today. It's a not necessarily the most popular of topic. A lot of people do not want to know their blood pressure, but it is a crucial metric. It's a metric that I look at with athletes that I work with. It's a metric that I look at with general population nutritional clients that I have. Remember, I am both a performance coach and a certified nutritionist. So I'm walking both with walking down journeys with different people, going down the athlete path and going down the general population, just want to get better, lose weight, all that kind of stuff. Those types of people. And blood pressure today, it's fascinating because, how it's normally done is, it's usually done at the doctor's office. If you go to the doctor's office, once a year, once every 2 years, once every 3 years, or when there's some kind of medical emergency, right? And this is just not the best time to do blood pressure. So there's a thing called white coat hypertension. So the common scenario for getting your blood pressure today is you go to the doctor's office, which is often a stressful thing, even if it's just for a checkup. That can be stressful. And then you go into the doctor's office and then you wait and you get the stress of waiting and when is the doctor going to come in, all these things. And then they put the cuff on you and then they, measure your blood pressure. Hopefully, your general practitioner does it with the cuff and with the stethoscope. That's the best way to do this. And then, just because of the stress, the anxiety, you're moving around, you're walking around, it's just not the best way to do it. So basically what I want to do, one of the common questions that I get is what are protocols for measuring your blood pressure in your daily life. So I have two different protocols that I use and have worked with, and I'll go through those. But first of all, what is blood pressure? All that great stuff. So your blood pressure is basically a measurement of two readings, your systolic and your diastolic. Your systolic is when your heart beats, and your diastolic is between your heartbeat, between the heartbeats. So your blood beats, puts out, the blood out of the arteries. And so again, we're only measuring what's going on inside the arteries. Blood pumps out, boom, pressure. Then, between heartbeats, pressure goes down, pressure goes up, pressure goes down. That's why we have two numbers, the diastolic and the systolic. With normal numbers, the upper range being 120 over 80. Now these numbers, you can go anywhere and these numbers are challenged left and right. A lot of these recommendations, whether it's your lipid panel on your biomarker, readings, if it's your kidney function, your liver panel, all these, are can be highly argued with one person at this side of the room and one person at the other side of the room, and they're just both arguing so passionately while their numbers are the best numbers. The numbers have gone down. Few years ago, it was 135 for your diastolic and I'm sorry, your systolic. And, so these numbers keep going down, but the research that I've done on the 120 over 80 and the influencers that I listen to a lot on this subject, like Dr. Peter Attia, love Dr. Peter Attia. He has his hands in blood work and hands in working with clients each and every day. He has his hands in the research. So he's a great influencer that I would highly recommend you listen to. And so he's very comfortable with these numbers, 120 over 80. And then everything that I've looked at as well, I'm pretty comfortable with that as well. So let's jump in and let's look at, some, there's two reasons. People mostly talk about high blood pressure as sort of end of life stuff, that if you don't get your blood pressure taken care of today, that this has long-term consequences. And in my own personal life, I've seen this. Had a friend. She was 36. She was diagnosed with hypertension. She did not take care of it. She did not take the medications that the doctors wanted her to take. She did not clean up her diet. She did not do the daily readings that they wanted her to do. And I saw this, and I gently, tried to help her to do these things. But by age 36, she did have a stroke. Spent the next 6 months in a hospital, paralyzed half of her body. Hair was just black as could be before going into all this. 6 months later, her hair was white as can be. So blood pressure, knowing your blood pressure for big life consequences, such as strokes, such as cardiovascular disease, not only midlife, but end of life issues, is very important. But I'm really fascinated on understanding your high blood pressure or not, or your perfect blood pressure, or triggers for your blood pressure in your day-to-day life, largely on its effects on metabolism. And I need to do a lot more research on this. But, someone like me who has a healthy blood pressure, why is it important for me today to understand blood pressure? Not 50 years from now, not 30 years from now, but right now. What are the effects of, an elevated blood pressure on me as an athlete today, in my early 50s? So I'm age 51. And so why is it so important? Why, if you have no symptoms of hypertension, if you have, you're healthy, why should you track this? Okay. So for me as a coach, it's so much about metabolism. Okay. So as a coach, I can work with athletes, really in when we put out that plan, when we're working online with each other, I can really help within 3 big areas of their athletic career. For my general population, it's the same thing, right? I can help them with their metabolism. I can help them with their cardiovascular fitness, and I can help them with their muscles, right? Their neuromuscular, what we call neuromuscular manipulation, where we're working on your muscles. We're working on your muscles, how they contract. We're working with the brain muscle connection and how it sends signals back and forth and all of that. So both for my athletes and my general population nutritional clients, I can really work on these 3 areas. And that metabolism, that's the big boy, because the metabolism, you can put in the most perfect plan that's, has a great percentage of burning fats to carbs, and you can periodize that plan and all that great stuff to get that athlete and their metabolism just firing on all cylinders. The problem is that the metabolism really comes down to that 24/7 life process. What you're doing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is so highly, your metabolism is so highly dependent on those factors. And blood pressure does affect your metabolism. What your diet is affects your metabolism. What if you're sleeping affects your metabolism. If you're hydrating properly throughout the day and throughout the week, that affects your metabolism. And so for this, and I need to do a lot more research on this, because it is such a fascinating subject. Because again, the hypertension is one of the leading causes of cardiovascular disease, and cardiovascular disease in America right now is the number one chronic disease. So that's the big thing. And so if we can get this blood pressure dialed in, it's not only going to help you long term, but in the interim, but right now. Okay. And so how does it help with the interim? Well, one of the things is that if you do have a high blood pressure, you are overstimulating your sympathetic nervous system. And so we have a parasympathetic nervous system and a sympathetic nervous system. And your parasympathetic system, this is your rest and relax phase. This is where you recover. Your sympathetic nervous system, when you're out there on the bike, or it's called your fight or flight nervous system. It's when you're jacked up, okay? Like I am right now. I'm in my sympathetic nervous system delivering this video. So when you have that hypertension, it pushes the body to sympathetic, that nervous system. Long-term consequences. of sympathetic nervous system can be a lot of chronic diseases, be a contributor to a lot of chronic diseases. It can be, cancer, things like that. And so the ideal situation is for an athlete, and if this is even possible, right? You're just rest and relax all day. You're chill. You're at work. You're in school. You're having a good day. You're, rested and relaxing. And then you go do that workout. You go do that vigorous walk. You go do the run, the swim, the bike, whatever you're doing, and you're jacked up. And so the trick then is, as soon as you're done with that workout, as soon as you're done with your sympathetic nervous system, you want to bring that back down. Like right afterwards, you want to re-engage the parasympathetic system. You want to bring that all back down. And so one of the ways is that if you do have an elevated blood pressure, if you do have that hypertension, which is very common with individuals in their 50s, especially here in America, especially given our modern day American diet, then that can become problematic. You can become stuck in that sympathetic nervous system. And then the other thing is inflammation, in that there's several things that it does, but I want to focus just on two: the sympathetic system and the inflammation. Your daily inflammation, your body will be in a state of inflammation more if you do have that hypertension, if you do have that elevated blood pressure. And so for athletes, we're always, the inflammation is a crucial process to to your daily life, but we don't want to contribute to it. We don't want to add to it. We want to bring that inflammation down so that your body feels great, so that you have proper kidney function, so that you have other proper organ function. Your muscles, are not in this, the state of inflammation where they're always in pain or something like that. And so those are two big things. And so I have a couple protocols to look at. Dr. Robert Lustig, excuse me. I went to Columbia and I picked up a little touch of bronchitis, and it's just the tiniest little touch of bronchitis, but it's still with me. Dr. Robert Lustig, he was recently interviewed on Dr. Andrew Huberman. Huberman. They did a huge podcast. It was like 3.5 hours long, but it's really good. Highly recommend that podcast. Highly recommend his book. It's a book that I recommend all my athletes, talk about as well, called Metabolical. So Dr. Lustig, in his book Metabolical, has a nice blood pressure protocol in it. And he likes to do it before you go to sleep and upon waking. And then, quote, if your nighttime blood pressure is higher than normal and doesn't come down during the sleep, you might want to consider your sugar intake for a week. And so, his protocol is, while you're lying in bed, you wake up. While you're lying in bed, put the cuff on, something like that. I use the Omron. This was $35 on Amazon. It gets great reviews. It's kind of an industry standard for these automatic cup things. Now, Peter Tita does a great job of discussing the drawbacks of this versus, the cup and the stethoscope method. And that these devices will read a little bit high. According to what he says, he's never had a great explanation of why that is, but these devices do read a little bit high. But I don't think that should be a problem. I think you should jump in, grab this, start getting baseline readings, see how your blood pressure goes up or down throughout the day, after a workout, before a workout, really get an understanding of your blood pressure. And then, you only have to do it once a week or once a month. As soon as you understand your blood pressure and how it works and goes up and down throughout the day, is that business meeting that you're having at work every day, just shooting your blood pressure through the roof? Well, then if you know that, then boom, you can do something right after that meeting just to kind of bring that blood pressure down. You can support yourself nutritionally. You might just go sit in a corner for 5 minutes, right? Just to bring that down and relax. But his big thing was, again, sleep. Then when you wake up, and then when you go to bed. So it will be lower, hopefully, when you wake up than when you go to bed. It'll be slightly elevated when you go to bed, and then his whole idea is that that should come down to a normal baseline reading. I like to do, a couple weeks. Just don't try to get a one-off. Like, go for a couple weeks. Just grab the data, look at the data, look at your average, look at your lows, look at your highs, etc. So that's him. Then the second protocol I have is Dr. Peter Attia. He has some great things. So he's a big advocate of taking blood pressure with his clients that work with him, and in his clinic that he has and manages, and big on this. It's just low hanging fruit. It's too easy to do, and it's too much of an important metric not to do blood pressure. So he says, quote, if you care about your brain, if you care about your heart, and if you care about your kidneys, you need low blood pressure. I think we can say that as confidently as we can say almost anything in medicine, end of quote. Now, he has a great protocol where he's, he likes 2 weeks, do 2 weeks twice a day, one in the morning, one in the PM, but he is very much not lying down. He is for sitting in a chair, feet flat, arms to the side, and just you're relaxed for 5 minutes, and then take your blood pressure. Okay. And so then he likes to do that over a 2-week period once again, and then look at your highs, look at your lows. So let's take my blood pressure right now. Let's just see what a video looks like and just see how easy this is. So right here's my cup. I put this on, get it real super tight. This is just so super easy. Bring this up. Normally I would do this. I would take my shirt off, all that great stuff. I would not have my shirt on while doing this, but I don't think the public could handle Lee Sandstead without a shirt on. All right, then all you got to do, you hit start, boom. There it goes. Here we go, people. We're taking a blood pressure reading right now. What's it going to be? I'm sick. I'm active, have a little bronchitis. Oh, I feel it. I'm thinking it's going to be high today, people. There we go. It's starting to get the reading. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. 130 over 80, 134 over 87. So that would be, by modern day standards, high. But this is not the opportune time to do it, right? I'm fired up. I'm giving a speech. So this would be not the time to do it. But 130 over 87. And that's how quick it is, and that's how easy it is. But you can see how, it will go, your blood pressure will go up throughout the day. Now, what do I do with that information? I take that information and I throw it into TrainingPeaks. So TrainingPeaks is a platform that I work with both my general population, nutritional clients, and my athletes. And so here's one that I did the other day. And again, I like to have fun with this. This is a fun device. So I've taken it, lying down in bed when I wake up in the morning, and it's super low. Within healthy ranges when I go to bed. I've tried Dr. Peter Attia's method of the 2-week protocol, but I like just to take it, throughout the day. Like, what's it look like when I'm making a video? Okay. It's jacked up. What's it going to look like when I'm on the bike? Right. Here's a fascinating one. And so I wanted to see what happens right after, a bike ride. And so I put notes down here. So I got done with a bike ride. This was a 2-hour zone 2 ride, and it was 98 over 76. And then, I put these notes down here so that I can better understand everything. And so right there, blood pressure taken after ride. And I had to put my cat down yesterday, which added to stress level. So, one of the leading contributors to inflammation in the body, to hypertension, is stress. And, I've looked at biomarkers of athletes where we had great numbers here, and then you would have someone like, some extremely stressful situation, a father passes or something like that, and, taking another biomarker panel after that, and you could just see dramatic differences in biomarker in your blood, in your biomarker panels, in your lipid panel, in your your inflammation biomarkers. You can see just a dramatic difference between that. And so stress is very important. And so I was very interested in understanding. So I had my cat that I loved more than life itself. I never told her that, though. Never tell your cats that you like them. That's a big mistake. But I still love this cat more than life itself. And I, out of nowhere, just through a freak thing, abscess in her eye, I had to put her down, and that was a very stressful situation. So I want to know all these things after a stressful situation. What does my blood pressure look like? And once you get an idea again of all this, then you get an idea of your triggers throughout the day. Take your blood pressure before your morning coffee, after your morning coffee. Caffeine is not energy. Caffeine is actually a stress. And so what does your blood pressure look like before the caffeine? What does your blood pressure look like after the caffeine? I mean, these are all things that, you are going to want to know as an individual. Again, nothing, right there. Just put it in there. You can follow it. um, you know, get the data. I'm a big advocate of getting the data. Once you get the data, then you can gamify it, gamify this data. Try to, so I'm working on my blood pressure, things like that, and just understanding where it is throughout the day. In terms of your day-to-day life, just to make you healthy, wealthy, and wise, if you will. All right, everybody, I hope that helps. That is blood pressure protocol. And rock it out. If you have any questions, ask in the notes or ask in the comments. And, I'm not a physiologist. I love physiology. I'm not a medical doctor. If you ever have concerns about your blood pressure, especially with hypertension, and especially we know where hypertension over periods of years can lead to, go talk to a doctor. Get that under control. All right, thanks everybody.